Mexico versus England, a knockout match, a historic stadium, a night that could forever mark the Mexican national team. The match is being played at the Estadio Ciudad de Mexico, with Mexico playing at home, with the home crowd behind them, with the atmosphere completely in their favor, and with a huge opportunity to reach the World Cup quarterfinals by eliminating a powerhouse like England. But be careful, they aren't facing just any opponent. England arrives with a squad full of stars, with players who are used to competing in the Premier League, Champions League, and major international tournaments. So this match isn't just Mexico versus England, it's a test of character, personality, and emotional resilience. From now on, there's no room for error. If you win, you stay alive. If you lose, you go home. Previous feelings don't matter. What you did in the group stage doesn't matter. How you got here doesn't matter. In a knockout match, 90 minutes can change everything. So let's start with what everyone is looking for. The schedule for the Mexico vs England match, country by country. In Mexico Central Time, the match will start at 7 p.m. A perfect time for the whole country to come to a standstill, for the streets to fill with green jerseys, and for the Estadio Ciudad de Mexico to become a real cauldron. In Spain, the match will kick off at 2 a.m. In Portugal, it will start at 1 a.m. In England, the match will also be at 1 a.m., already well into the European night. In Colombia, Peru, and Ecuador, the ball will start rolling at 7 p.m. In Panama, it will also be at 7 p.m. In Argentina, Uruguay, and Brazil, the match will start at 9 p.m. In Chile, Paraguay, Bolivia, and Venezuela, the kickoff will be at 8 p.m. In Costa Rica, Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador, and Nicaragua, the match will start at 6 p.m. In the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, and Cuba, it will kick off at 8 p.m. In the United States, the schedules are key because there will be a huge audience following this match. On the East Coast, in cities like New York, Miami, Orlando, Washington, or Atlanta, the match will start at 8 p.m. In the Central Time Zone, in cities like Dallas, Houston, Chicago, San Antonio, or Kansas City, it will kick off at 7 p.m. In the Mountain Time Zone, in places like Denver or Phoenix, it will kick off at 6 p.m. And on the West Coast, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Las Vegas, San Diego, or Seattle, the game will start at 5 p.m. In Canada, it kicks off at 8 p.m. in Toronto, Ottawa, and Montreal, 7 p.m. in Winnipeg, 6 p.m. in Calgary and Edmonton, and 5 p.m. in Vancouver. So now you know, check your schedule carefully because this Mexico-England match is not just another game. It's a World Cup night, a round of 16 night a night when Mexico can pull off a historic upset in front of its home crowd. Part 2, where to watch Mexico versus England, TV channels and platforms by country. And now, let's go with the most frequently asked question. Before every World Cup match, where can you watch Mexico versus England live? Let's start with Mexico, where this match will be one of the most watched sporting events of the year. The match can be watched on Channel 5 Las Estrellas, TUDN, and also on ViX, with special coverage starting hours before kickoff. Since Mexico is playing at home and in the round of 16, it's very likely that Mexican networks will prepare an extensive pre-game show with analysis, atmosphere from the stadium, possible lineups, interviews, and complete coverage of the fan reaction. In England, the match can be followed on the channels with World Cup broadcasting rights in the United Kingdom, mainly BBC and ITV, depending on the distribution of matches. For English fans, it will be a very special early morning because their team is playing for a spot against the host in an absolutely hostile stadium. In Spain, the match can be watched on Televisión Española's main free-to-air channel, as well as on RTVE Play on a mobile phone, computer, tablet, or smart TV. It will also be available on DAZN, which offers complete coverage of the tournament. In Portugal, the broadcast will be on Sport TV. In the United States, the match will receive extensive coverage. In English, it can be watched on Fox and its digital platforms such as the Fox Sports app and Fox One. In Spanish, it will be available on Telemundo as well as Peacock and Fubo. In Canada, the match can be followed on TSN, CTV, and RDS with coverage in English and French. In Colombia, it can be watched on Caracol Television, RCN, DS Sports, and DGO. In Peru, on America Televisión, D Sports, and DGO. In Ecuador, on Teleamazonas, D Sports, and DGO. In Chile, on Chilevisión, D Sports, and DGO. In Argentina, on Telefe, Taiti Sports, D Sports, and DGO. In Uruguay, on D Sports and DGO, as well as national operators with rights. In Paraguay, on Tigo Sports, D Sports, and DGO. In Venezuela, on Televen, D Sports, and DGO. In Bolivia, on Red Uno, Unitel, D Sports, and DGO. In Brazil, the match can be watched on TV Globo, Sport TV, and KCTV. And if you're following us from Central America, take note. In Costa Rica, on Teletica. In Guatemala, on Chapin TV. In Honduras, on Televicentro. In El Salvador, on TCS. In Nicaragua, on Canal 10. And in Panama, on RPC TV and TVN. In the Caribbean, in countries like the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, and Cuba, the match can be followed through international broadcasters with rights as well as local operators, and platforms like DA Sports and DGO, depending on availability. So now you know Mexico versus England, round of 16, a do-or-die match, and a night that could be historic. Mexico wants to take advantage of their fans' support to defeat one of the big favorites. Meanwhile, England arrives with the pressure to prove that this generation is ready to fight for the World Cup. And after going over the schedules and where to watch the match, it's time to talk about football. Let's look at the possible lineups that could be presented. Both coaches for this exciting Mexico versus England match. Let's start with the Mexican national team. Javier Aguirre might go for a very recognizable starting 11 with a 4-3 system, aiming to maintain a balance between defensive solidity and speed on the counter-attack. The possible lineup for Mexico would have Luis Malagon in goal. In defense, Jorge Sanchez would take the right-back position. Cesar Montes and Johan Vazquez would form the center-back pair, while Jesus Gallardo would play on the left side. In midfield, balance would be provided by Edson Alvarez as the pivot, accompanied by Luis Chavez and Orbelin Pineda, two players capable of linking up, getting into the box, and threading passes between the lines. And up front, everything points to a trio formed by Alexis Vega, Santiago Jimenez as the main striker, and Cesar Huerta looking for speed, dribbling, and constant pressure on England's build-up play. Up against them will be an England side that, barring any surprises, will stick to their usual 4-2-3-1 formation, a system that allows them to pack a lot of attacking talent. In goal would be Jordan Pickford. The defense could be made up of Kyle Walker, John Stones, Mark Guehi, and Luke Shaw. In the double pivot, Declan Rice and Jude Bellingham would form one of the tournament's most complete pairs thanks to their physicality, skill, and attacking ability. Ahead of them, Bukayo Saka would start on the right wing. Phil Foden would play as an attacking midfielder with total freedom to move between the lines. And Anthony Gordon would play on the left. As the centre forward, the focal point would once again be Harry Kane, England's top scorer and one of the most dangerous strikers in the tournament. The big tactical battle will be in the midfield. Mexico will try to reduce the spaces to prevent Bellingham and Foden from receiving the ball comfortably, while England will look to monopolize possession and take advantage of Saka and Gordon's speed on the wings. Another decisive duel could be Santiago Jimenez against Stones and Guehi. If the Mexican striker manages to pin down the center-backs and win balls with his back to goal, Mexico will have chances to create danger. Everything is set for an absolute blockbuster, where the small details could decide who books a place in the 2026 World Cup quarterfinals.